Hello, everyone. I hope you're all good.
Hello, Professor.
Good day, Professor.
Hi, Professor.
So before I start anything, I would like to ask whether were you able to do anything else, because I haven't checked the activities part, activity 9. Let me just check it. Where did you have submit? Like out of 13 participants, only 9 have submitted. Just let me just see it. Dana is not. Alnur. Tamerlan has not submitted anything. Okay. But let me open this, Evgenius. Evgeny, if you don't mind, I'll just open yours just to see. Okay. The author analyzes the US banking system on the basis of net interest margin, return on assets, according to the assessment, sure that the banking liability, which. Okay. This is what I want, but I want from you at least 5 authors, okay, in the literature review.
Professor,
Yes.
can you look through our work? Is it okay or not?
Yes, surely.
Yes,
Sure.
Professor.
Let me go one by one. Let me go one by
Okay.
one. Better.
Okay.
It's better to just be to guide you in the right way.
We are in one group with Almat together.
Okay, this is what I opened. It was Almat. Okay, yeah,
Almat, yes.
Almat. Okay.
Yes, Almat and them.
Abreu. Studies related to bank-specific variables. Okay, this is even good that you went into more details. This is what I like it. Okay, but what I want from you guys. Once you have divided this, but for example, in here, the market structure, regulation, inflation, interest rate, market growth. So what effects they have on the profitability? Like inflation has a positive impact, and what is the reason they found it? Let me show it to you. Let me show it to you. I think, let me just. It's not that. Okay, let me go with this then. For example, the literature that I classified in this, I started with this introduction, that which authors I studied and what they did in main part, and then I categorized them as, for example, I started with the dependent variables, okay, determinants of profitability. In what they, let's say about the macroeconomic factor, as you have talked, okay. So this is the GDP growth. So first of all, I'm explaining what is the GDP. Okay, you should explain what GDP growth has and here, the GDP has a positive relationship profitability. As a result, during the boom, demand for bank and loan financial products increases. So this is the explanation. This is the hypothesis. Inflation is measured by the consumer price index. So relationship between inflation and bank profitability is marrow, which means cannot be predicted. It can be negative, it can be positive. Okay. Control corruption refers to the people in position. So first of all, you give explanation of your variable. What is that variable? And what is the relationship they found it? For example, for the authors, here, the market structure, okay, it's it's written there. If you go to that article, you will find it. Like inflation, let's say, has a positive impact on profitability. Most probably they explained it in a way that the accuracy of prediction of the inflation, once they accurately predict the inflation, that will help them to generate more money in the future. Or the interest rates impact on the profitability. So you have to just show the relationship in here, what the relationship was found by these authors. Am I clear?
Yes.
Yes.
It's
Okay,
clear.
and explain it. I don't want the big explanation. Like here, the more deposit banks use for loans, higher net profit, nevertheless, if there is a high risk on bank obtained by asset ratio. So margins may go, and high capitalized bank have a lower expect. So which variable do you explain? Dependent variable. So which variable do you explain it here? So in here you should
Net
explain
interest margin and profit
yeah.
margins.
So first of all, look how I'm explaining the dependent variables. Where is it? Here. So table 1 lists to describe all of the dependent and variables. Okay. So this is my dependent variable. The term non-performing loans refers to the bank asset quality as measured by the ratio of loan loss provision. So bad loans have a negative impact on the performance, and about the critical to identify the drivers of the non-performing loans in a dual banking. So because it is all about the risk management. So, and it is supported by Macri et al. Or I have here net interest margin. It measures returns on total asset generated by interest rate sensitive activities. So net interest margin for participation banks, on the other hand, reflects the profits from non-interest rate based activities. Okay. So you should get the definition, how the other authors defined it and support by author. You can put my name, you can use my article, there's no problem. So you basically in the literature review, you are given the definition and what is the logic behind this ratio. So by giving the ratio definition and the logic, you're hypothesizing, like you're creating a hypothesis. Concerning the capital adequacy, for example, for both Islamic and conventional banks, total equity or total asset is used as a proxy for capital. It is difficult to predict the impact of this ratio on the bank's financial performance. So in contrast to the less capitalized banks, highly capitalized banks are considered to be less risky because of their prevailing capital. According to the risk return, the hypothesis, bank with more capital will have a lower return than the banks with the less capital. As a result, well-capitalized banks earn more profit even during the economic downturns, implying that lower risk increase the creditworthiness and lowers the borrowing cost. So I can, you can get this article. It's available. Wait, it's not available. It's not available, but still I can share with you. I have another article. You can search it in the internet. There are many articles on this. So all the authors, they go in the same way, writing the literature, methodology, and so on. And my methodology, so I'm explaining here, my data sample here, it's very, so using the financial statement variables, this study used panel data to conduct the empirical analysis on the determinants of non-performing loans and so on. So you do the same thing, explain everything in research. So before coming to the research and methodology, I would like to ask, especially this word that I was checking about, Almat, is my comment is clear? What do you need to do?
Yes, one more question, Professor.
Yes.
So in general, we should write the brief definition and explanation by the authors, and should we include the Germany economy specific facts?
In introduction.
It's already in introduction.
In the introduction, you explain about the Germany, why you selected this country. You explain the reason why. In introduction, this is what I wanted to go one by one. Okay, let me check all the literature review, and I will give you a small guideline how you should start your introduction, literature review, then methodology, and so on. So in the literature review, you give the definition and logic, rational logic behind this certain ratio, supported by certain author. This is what the literature review is about. This shows that you have studied. It is acceptable in a way like Evgenia did it. She summarized each article separately, like say 5 articles, but separately combining everything. Or you can do it, for example, where is it? Here we go. So you can do it in this way, summarize the article itself and like 5-6 articles. Or the most famous and most popular way is categorizing in this way. Okay. But if you do go in this way, Almat, it's better not to create a table. Okay. It's better to follow this format.
Like this text.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can share this article with you. You can follow this style.
Okay.
So like literature review, and you're just breaking down all the variables that you're using. Like
And one more question, Professor.
Yes.
Is the Times New Roman 12 and a double space format is standard?
It's a free.
Project?
It's actually not for the article. It's a Times New Roman 12, and it's not double.
It should be single, yes?
Yeah, single. It should be single. And it's italic when you give a heading for any abbreviation, like it should be italic, like bank specific factors, and you go explaining all the factors. You have it here. But let's say, imagine you're using a ratio which is not used in any of the articles. There is no previous publication, like loan growth. Okay, here as you can see, I did not find any support, which means I am the first who is using this loan growth variable. So next one who is going to use it, he will just use it. This is up to my knowledge that I don't see it. But this article is not kind of ready. I have to update it because this loan growth is already used by somebody. This is what I realized that I didn't put it. But anyway, just, I'm telling you as an example. If there is a variable that is the first time you're using it, there is no like a must, you have to put the author.
Okay,
So in the literature, first of all, what you did, give the definition of the ratio, give the logic behind this, why it's negatively and what could be the reason, and give a supportive author who found a negative relationship between profitability and the liquidity. If you're claiming there is a positive relationship, then give those author who has found the positive relationship. Okay, okay, I think you got me well about this and the references that you're using. And for your own information, there is a program which is called Mendeley Desktop. I don't know whether you heard it or not. Have you heard it before?
No.
No.
It's a database. It's accumulation of all articles that I use in my research. So what is the best thing about this article is that, for example, if I want to use the reference, let's say according to Faizullayev for my research, let's say I want to enter my name. So I go here, all my documents, I search my article, Faizullayev, here we go. So I'm using this article, I'm citing it, okay? So according to Hamed and Faizullayev,
So it automates
they found,
referencing,
where they found positive relationship, okay? Relationship, just example. So you don't have to enter the reference by hand. It will be entered automatically if you place it here, let's say, insert. Here we go. If you use
Professor, is it free?
Yeah, it's free. It's free. And really, it helps you a lot. And it organizes all the references in ascending order. Any style that the journal requires. For example, I was applying for the journal here. emerging market review journal. So you select the journal. According to that journal, it puts all the references, so you don't have to change it. So it saves the time to you. For example, I want
In
to
our
enter-
case,
in any case, in your case, you might use it, but you will not have that much. You see, it automatically enters the references. Any reference I enter here, go here, for example, this site, as you can see. And it's in ascending order, it automatically, once you put here in the text, in the reference chapter, it automatically creates the references and it creates a correct references. It's very easy to use, which is called Mendeley Desktop. You can start using it. And if you will need it definitely if you're going to do the master program in the future, you will need this program. It's very beneficial program. And it's very easy to, so you register your email address and that's it. And wherever you go and wherever you open, in which computer you're working, it doesn't matter. This database that you created for your own self, all the articles that you gathered will be saved in your database. Okay, let me move further. Who else? Anwar. Sorry, the requested file could not be found. Is Anwar here?
Yes, I'm here.
Your file is not found. Maybe it's in zip or it's in zip. Continue. No, it doesn't work, Anwar, unfortunately. So you have to re-upload it. I want to see.
Okay, I will do.
If you have it now, send it to chat now. I want to see it. Send it to the chat here. Okay, Arina, here we go. Mubin and Bashir. Authors provided detailed analysis of UK banking in the base of cause of effect regarding the NPL and financial crisis timeline 14 years. They measured such factors through the OLS model, robust test, Hausman test, and checked the heteroscedasticity through the Rushpegan test on pool regression model. So for analysis above factors, authors emphasized that NPL financial crisis damaged the most of the proportion of the banking sector, which also caused the banks to become privatized. Okay, in this way they categorized. In this case, I would ask you guys, Arina, with whom you are working, Arina? Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Who's your teammate?
I chose UK banking, so I guess my teammate is, let me see.
You're alone or you are with somebody?
I wasn't on the last lecture because I had a job interview, so unfortunately I couldn't match. And I chose it for myself.
You're now doing alone everything, yes? As I understand.
Yes, but I saw that Aidana is doing UK banking, and I thought maybe I could do it too.
Wait, are you doing with Aidana?
No, I just saw her on the list.
There is no problem. You can do it in the same thing. But
Okay.
the case is that I'm asking whether do you have any group member that you're working with? Like Almat is working with Dana.
No.
You're working alone, yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. And we have Anwar, Dana. Dana is Almat, okay. With Dinara. And okay, Arina, about your case. about the comment that I want to make it about give more information about the when you analyze the companies, the articles itself, more findings. For example, in this report,
I'm sorry, this is not my document.
yeah, I know.
Ah.
But in yours, I read it, but it's not still enough. Just increase the explanation.
Okay.
Okay, especially about the findings part. You showed the purpose, you showed the methodology, and the issues that how many banks. For me, it is important to see the purpose, what they are doing, the aim, the data set they use. Let me just type it down. In literature review, I have to know which variables they use, what factors they use to see the impact on the profitability determinants. Like aim, data set, years or period, we can call. This is very important. And methodology they used to run it. By data set, banks, variables, and so on. Okay. Banks, variables, methodology, what they used to run the regression analysis, which you already explained. And of course, the last is findings. Findings. And giving you don't have to explain all the findings. The main findings and with a reason why they happen. Let's say capital adequacy has positive impact on NIM. Why? Why it has it? And this is what you want to do, and you have to do in literature review. If you go in the way of the tables, but if you go as Almat and Dana tried to do, by breaking down by variables, there is no need to do it. So I can share this article that I'm working currently. It's not with me, but I'll put it on Moodle. You can work on that. You can see if you want to follow that structure. But if you follow this structure, what you need to mention in here is aim, data set, years, methodology, and findings. But the most important findings, not all of the findings should be mentioned. Okay, in here, the findings indicate that GDP growth and ROE have a negative effect on non-performing loans. So the unemployment rate and the actual interest rate also have a favorable impact on disabled loans. The findings suggest, for example, in here, I don't see I can see the aim, but I cannot see the number of, for which bank it was, the European banking sector, but which years. Okay, and how many banks were used, and what variables have been used in here. And the unemployment rate, and I only see the aim, I don't see the methodology here. So follow this, okay, guideline. If you want to go with a table. Okay, this is literature review. As I told you at the beginning that you can combine with the introduction. In the introduction, you have to show why, what is the problem, okay? What is the problem? Problem are you trying to solve? You have to give justification. why you selected certain industry. Okay, you have to convince the people or the readers what is the problem that you're trying to solve and why you have selected. You have to give justification in the introduction. And of course, you have to shortly talk about your article. Very shortly, that given that or what you can do, you can just combine with the literature introduction. If it's not to separate, you can make it together. So this is what you should consider. So in literature review, you can make it by tables. Make it by tables, or break down into variables. Break down into variables. Where you have to explain in the literature, if you make it by table, so in here, when you break down into variables, first you have to give definition. Sorry. You have to give the definition, and you have to give the reason. Why? Reason for certain relationship between variables. And it should be supported by author. Okay. Let me put it, or I will save it this one. I'm going to use it, then I'm going to put it on Moodle as well. Okay, I can see the same problem in here. So for activity, I accept it. There is no problem. For activity, it is accepted. There is no issue regarding that. Okay, there is a Lee has submitted something. The research investigated the effect of the some variables on profitability of small medium firms in Indonesia. Same, the aim and some data set is given, but not all. There is no the period which has been submitted, and they used multiple regression method for the study and got following results. Okay, he gives the methodology. That's okay. The age of the firm is not significant, and in here he gives the findings. So, and of course, that will be, if you put the period and everything and increase the findings, that would be better. In here, the research investigated determinants of the growth profitability in small enterprise Scotland. So in here, he gives period and the data set and growth of small entrepreneurial. So how many firms he has used in Scotland to do this? So the main determinant discussed is the research is relationship between entrepreneurial motivation and the small firm performance. Okay. So they conducted analysis with the following classification: size, age, location. Okay. Which analysis they did? OLS, system GMM, FGLS, panel corrected small errors. And there are many different analysis could be used, but you have to show me. They find that out the larger of company and younger the company. Okay. Same here, same comments. Aim, data set, years, and methodology findings should be used here. I have to know what has been done and what has not been done. Okay. Okay, let me go further. Second. Okay. He has written 5. Okay, for the authors, guys, in here, I don't need this panel data of analysis. So in here, I want only the author's name with the years of publication. That's it. I don't need this panel data analysis profitability terms. The study was about financial health and industry. 5 companies listed in the, okay, give example for the period. Okay, define. Okay, that's good. You have mentioned the data set. And what was the aim of the study? Study was about the financial health of the, it's not an aim, but they investigated the profitability determinants. Where, for which industry? For the telecom companies in India. Data set is here. Methodology should be given here. And the should be a bit increased. Am I clear, Saken?
Yes, Professor.
Okay. That will enrich your literature review. Okay. And what else we have here? Evgenia, I looked at already, but let me just take it again. Evgenia's part. Author analyzed the European US banking system on the basis of net interest margin. And okay, she's given a data set interpretation. According to Saxonova, NIM shows the, okay, she started already with the introduction. So same with you, Evgenia. The findings are okay, but you need to add the aim data set for which year she has estimated and what variables and how many banks or firms or companies she has used. Same thing in here. Okay, and Jean-Joseph. Same thing here. Why I cannot download it?
Professor, I
Yes.
can send you this file, but a little bit later because now I'm at my work.
I see. Okay, send it to me later. And who else who has submitted with the zip? Anwar. You are working with Anwar together?
Yeah, we like.
Okay, the same group. Okay.
Same file.
Okay, send it to me later. I have to check it. I will see it. But for the activity, it's okay. It's considered as an
Okay.
activity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now coming for the literature review, it's clear, I think, what should be done. And coming to the methodology. Data and methodology, actually. Sometimes you can see it's called data methodology, sometimes it's called as a methodology, and so on. In here, you have to explain, first of all, if it starts with the data methodology, you should explain the data set, like years, number of firms, country, where you select country, from where you have collected data. I will show you the example. It shouldn't be very long. But here, data and sample. Using the financial statement variables, the study used panel data to conduct the empirical analysis on determinants. Okay. Over the period of this cross-country bank level data was gathered from variety sources like BankScope, bank. So you're mentioning everything from where you collected data, all the methodology. So, but when it comes to the model and methodology, you are doing only the ordinary least square, OLS. So you don't have to explain this much big explanation on the methodology part. So what you will need to do, will need to explain only this model. Okay. So this model is multiple regression analysis model for you. And by the way, I forgot to mention methodology here. When I mean the data set, it should include the variables and so on. Which variables you have collected. Like bank specific macroeconomic variables. And model, you can take my model from here. You can use it. There is no problem with this. You can use it. And here's the explanation of the model. You can use it to explain it, but explain it in your own words. Okay. So this will be the same, but it should be explained by your own words. Don't use my words. Otherwise, it will be considered as a plagiarism. So this is actually doesn't belong to me. It has been invented by some authors. I just took it, but I explained in my own words. The model. And mainly it's by Baltagi, Wooldridge. They use this model. This is OLS model. You can use it. I think if I put this onto, what do you call it? And by the way, don't forget to write the article, the abstract. The abstract is important as well. In the abstract, the purpose, design methodology, findings, it's not given here, but I'll upload another one. So let me do it in this way. The article which has been already published. You see how many corrections I did for one article? It's my article. It's crossing and rewriting, crossing and rewriting, crossing and rewriting to just make my article to publish in one journal. It has been accepted this year, actually the last month. This much corrections, I made it. They asked me to make these corrections. Okay, I'll put this abstract for you. As an example. The keywords abstract. Here, I'm going to put it in this document. Okay. This is an abstract example, introduction here. And for the data methodology, actually, if I put this article whole, okay, the literature in this way. Here, my data methodology. We made an empirical analysis. This is data set, crawl markets that have restructured and so on. And the model that I'm using here, but I was using the Boone indicator. It was the Boone indicator. And I will just want to copy for the methodology part for the data set for you to just write it down. Okay, this is my data set. I'm copying it down just to show you data and sample, research and methodology. To just give you an example. Data and sample. for methodology part, this is the equation you needed. Okay, use this equation. And here's the explanation. So furthermore, we use ordinary least square pixel and FX model for robustness testing, but we have not disclosed the estimation results. Okay. So this part, actually for the data set, you can write it in your own. There is no problem with it. But I want you for the methodology part, when you say we use the OLS and explain it that you use the ordinary least square to run the regression analysis. And this is my model. You will say it and you will explain your model. Okay. You can take this directly and just paraphrase it and use it in your work. Let's say we employed OLS, ordinary least, sorry. Ordinary least square to run to conduct we employed OLS, ordinary least square, to conduct the empirical research. The main aim was to test how firm specific and macroeconomic variables affect profitability or financial vulnerability or credit risk. Let me affect financial risk of firms in Germany. I'm just making up the for the period of something. So you can just create your own, just use your own creativity to create like long sentences and make it more to look at beautiful. The idea is that you employ the OLS, ordinary least square, by using the Excel spreadsheet or Stata to conduct the empirical research, to conduct the empirical analysis, and so on. So you can just see from this is what you need to do in data methodology. This is very important, and you have to explain your model. But in your model later, put it all the variables you have it into this model. Actually, you don't need it. You don't need it. If you just put this model like this, and you have already provided the model in the data set, if you provide what do you call it, the variable names in this way, that would be very, very good. Let me show it to you. Let me give you an example in which way I want you to, just a second. Okay, this is my another article. It came today. It has been published, but it's in, you can use this article. Look, For example, we use in here very simple, like data methodology. We're investigating the profitability determinants and so on. Very simple. And here's the table, like net interest margin and the author and so on. You can use this table as well. Let me make it like this. Make the table of the variables in this ways. Okay, put all the variables that you use it. Abbreviation first, explanation of the abbreviation, and proxies, and the researches that you have used it. You can use the same researches or the researches that you are using already. So I'm going to put it here. So as an example. And this is all about the data methodology and literature review. Introduction, abstract, so I'm expecting from you to write it and finish it. Introduction, literature review, and so on. If you have any questions, please feel free to write me, send me the WhatsApp and email as you, whatever way you feel more comfortable to you to get communicated with me. Let me save it, just in case. Okay. Lectures. Let me guidelines for article. So, first of all, I would like to let me just upload everything here. So we have articles here, NPL and some literature review, like research file, sample variables. And if I make it, let me just upload it immediately, just very quickly, so that it is available once you finish everything. So if you have any questions while I'm uploading it, please just ask me, feel free. I'll name it as a guidelines. And actually, if I upload that article recently published, that would be very helpful. I believe so. You can use the literature review sample. Let me call it as sample article and make it like literature review methodology part. So it's here. You can use it. You can find it and get the benefits of it. So all here, sample article. If you press on this, it should directly open it. Okay, guidelines for the article that I just showed you today, what you need to do. And the video, I'm just recording it. I'm going to upload it as well. Okay. Okay. Actually here, we have lectures that is left that we need to cover is simple regression analysis and multiple regression analysis. I don't want to go into more details about the statistics and econometrics because it's not the level that I should go, but I gave you just in case if you want. But I will combine simple and multiple regression into one file, and make it in this way because I believe it will be more beneficial to you. Because multiple, it includes already the simple. So we are given this is a guideline step by step for the Stata, okay? For Stata, using the Stata. I'm going to over this file today like this, and next time when we meet, I will go using the Stata itself to do the same thing. So we file and import the Excel spreadsheet. We organize the data in the way that we want it. Then we do some manipulation with the data set and declare the data set in the Stata program in order to run the regression analysis, okay? So this is our model, as you can see, net interest margin. So what is this beta 0, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, beta 4 means here? Beta are the coefficients that are used in analysis. So each variable has some coefficient. This coefficient shows the sign in which way it will impact the dependent variable. Net interest margin is dependent variable, which means that this variable depends on these variables, like capital adequacy, cost to income, liquidity, and non-performing loans are independent variables. So, which means these variables are not depending on anything else. They are independent. They are explaining. They are explanators, okay? These variables will explain the net interest margin. How the capital adequacy will have an impact on the net interest margin, how the cost income will affect, how the liquidity will affect, and how the NPL is going to affect the net interest margin. This is what we mean by regression analysis. Imagine if we use only, let's say, one variable. We don't have this part, sorry. We don't have this, okay? We have only NIM equal to beta 0, beta 1, and cap. This is we call actually a single or simple regression analysis, which means that only there is one dependent variable and there is one independent variable. There is only one explanatory variable, which is capital adequacy. However, if our model having more than one independent variables, that means we have multiple regression analysis. So this is what we call it as a multiple regression analysis, that we show that we want to see how this will affect the net interest margin, the financial performance. So we run the regression analysis in Stata or Excel and we get this data results, okay? We get it. In here we can see coefficients. So this coefficient, I mean the beta 0, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3, beta 4. So each variable will have its own coefficient. Each variable will have its own direction of the impact, either positive or negative, and the scale of the impact. I mean how much it will affect. Is the effect is large or is the effect is small? This is what the coefficient tells you. So basically, we are going to use this coefficient like 0.44, 0.01, or 0.02. As you can see, we have a negative sign here. We have a negative sign here and here. But other ones are positive. So these three variables like capital adequacy, liquidity, and NPL, they will impact positively. They will have an impact positive. So in here, what we do, first of all, in any analysis, we should do econometrical analysis, economical interpretation. The first analysis, we start with economic interpretation of each coefficient. Okay, what we do basically, we said that beta 0, imagine if nothing changes in the economy. It's a constant. This is constant, okay? This is constant. But these are the slopes. If you talk econometrically, these are the slopes. This is intercept or constant variable that tells you in economic interpretation, if there is no change in capital adequacy, if there is no change in cost income, in management efficiency, if there is no change in liquidity management, if there is no change in non-performing loan or credit risk management, that nothing changes, assuming that ceteris and paribus, the net interest margin will be reduced by minus 0.82. Your financial performance will be deteriorated by minus 0.82%. If we're talking here about the percentages, it will be reduced by this amount. If there is nothing changed, zero change. This is the assumption. But as you can see, instead of the beta 0, we put it here. So we get just substitute these numbers into the coefficients, like 0 minus 82. We put it here, as you can see, instead of beta 0. Then instead of beta 1, we are using capital adequacy here. We are going to put it here, 0.44. It's a positive number, as you can see, but in here, as you can see, it's a negative. Then we're going to use cost to income. As you can see, it's a minus. So we are going to put it here. And with the negative sign. And 0.24 we are putting here. And 0.81 we're putting here. We're just substituting these coefficients. So we substitute and we replaced all the coefficients by numbers. And here we come with explanation. Assume that ceteris paribus, there is no change in anything. Zero change in all independent variables. The profitability of the banks will be reduced by 0.82%. If the banks doesn't change the management of capital adequacy, management of efficiency, management of the liquidity, and the credit risk management strategies, if they don't change it, if they keep it same as the previous year, the profitability of the banks will go down by 82%. This is the case for Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Azerbaijan, and Uzbekistan, for these 4 countries. If we assume that all variables are constant, only 1% change in the size of the bank, which is capital adequacy, we're assuming that everything is 0, like beta 0, beta 2, beta 3, beta 4 are 0, but only the capital adequacy changes by 1%. So that will increase the profitability of the all banks by 0.44% by the amount of the coefficient. So if we improve our capital adequacy by 1%, it will increase by 44%, 0.44%. And if you assume that 1% change in cost to income, it will bring down the profitability by 0.01%. If we assume that 1% change in liquidity, the net interest margin will go up by 0.24%. And 1% change in non-performing loans, net interest margin will increase by 0.81%. Okay, in economic interpretation, it's clear. We're trying to show the direction, impact, and the scale of the impact. Am I clear up to now? Please, if there is something that you couldn't understand, just let me know. Okay, this is what we explained. Did you understand that why we are doing this regression analysis? What is the purpose behind this? For
To
any
see
industry.
The relationship.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
see the
to-
change that impacts on the dependent variable.
Yeah, the idea is to see how the independent variable will have an impact on dependent variable for any industry. For this example, I took the example of the banking industry. It could be any of the industry, because at the end of the day, you are the one as a scientific worker or economist or financist, you will suggest, you will give a recommendation for policy implications. What should be done in order to improve the banking industry, the pharmaceutical industry, or any other industries? What could be done? So we need to give advice. In order to do this advice, we need to know what factors affect mostly a certain criteria that we're searching for. And okay, we understood what is the relationship, we understood the economical interpretation. However, how much reliable these coefficients are? Can we trust on them? So we need to check for validity of coefficient and validity of the whole model. So we need to check each coefficient one by one, whether they're statistically significant, whether they can be trusted or relied. Okay, you're saying to the banks, okay, imagine you're saying to the government, look, in order to increase the profitability of the banks in these regions, they have to do what? Tell me, guys. According to our...
To reduce the cost to income.
To reduce the cost to income. What else?
And the rest shouldn't be increased, I guess.
The rest, the capital adequacy should be increased, the liquidity management should be increased, and non-performing loans should be increased. I don't know. This is what the model tells. Logically, increasing the bad loans, does it increase the profitability?
No, shouldn't.
No.
Be careful before you answer.
Non-performing loans. I guess no, because...
Okay, let me give you an example in this way. We have two different portfolios, A and B. Okay. Let's say A is the safest portfolio and it gives you return 5%. And this is giving you 20% of return. Which portfolio is considered to be riskier?
B.
B. If there is a third portfolio and it gives you 150% return. C. So which is the most riskiest among these three portfolios?
C.
Why? Why have you? I didn't say about the riskiness of the project portfolios, but you have directly said without even thinking, C is the most riskiest. Why? Can you give me the clarification of your answer?
Because high risk provides higher return.
Yeah, that's
Very
kind of
good.
yeah.
So can we just clarify that NPL, if NPL increases, does the NPL, is it risky asset?
Yeah,
Yes,
for
sir.
sure.
So for the risky asset, the banks should require more
Return.
return. So that could be the reason actually why the NPL makes your financial performance to increase profitability, because it requires higher return. Okay, this could be the, it's not the case. It's not for certainly sure, but it could be the reason for it. In order to check, is it so? We need to see the validity of each coefficient. Is it trustable numbers? This 0.81 or 0.24 or minus 0.01 or 0.44, are these numbers are trustable? Can we trust in them? I don't know. We have to check the validity before we say anything. Okay, we will check it. Let's go. So in order to check the validity, how we do it, it's another story. We need to make it hypothesis issue. Before coming to this hypothesis issue, okay, I want to concentrate on the validity. How we check it? We check it using the p-values. So to check the validity, we looked only for the p-values. If the p-value is less than 1%, or 5% or 10%. If you want to write it in decimal number like 0.01, 0.05, and 0.10. In order to say that this coefficient is validated, is statistically significant or statistically reliable number, then the p-value should be less one of this, either 1 or 5 or 10. Can we say that capital adequacy is statistically reliable or significant?
Yes.
Because 0, it's less than 1%, yes? It is less than 5%, and it is less than 10%. Can we say that the cost income coefficient is statistically significant? Look at the number. Is it less than 1%?
No.
No.
More than 5.
5? No. 10?
Yes.
Is it less than 10%? Which
No,
which
sorry.
is more? 72 or 10 is more?
No, 72 is more.
So we do not accept it. So this is not statistically reliable number. So we cannot rely on this number. We put a cross. Okay, we up to now we can rely only on capital adequacy. So if you suggest for these countries, for the banks, if they want to improve their performance, they need to increase capital adequacy. You cannot say anything about cost to income because it's not a reliable number. Let's go further. What about
Professor,
liquidity?
I'm sorry, I didn't get one thing. So
Yes, please.
10% is by default, yes?
Yeah,
should
it's a
be less than
probability
10%.
default. Yeah, probability.
Okay.
But it's a rule of thumb. Okay, 1, 5, it's a significant levels. Okay, in statistics. I don't want to get into more details of these probability values because how they are derived and how they're calculated, because it will take a lot of time. But for now, when you write an article, you don't explain it. In any article, you will not find that somebody is explaining you like what is the probability value, what is the coefficient, and so on, because it is assumed that who is reading or who is writing this paper, he already knows the statistical issues and econometrical issues. But for simplicity, I'm telling you, in order to say that coefficient is validated, is a reliable number, then the p-value should be less than 1 or 5 or 10. Is that clear?
So, Professor, you were going to say that the p-value should be in the range of between 1 and 10, or not?
No, it should be less than 1. If it's less than 1, it's definitely less than 5 and 10. But if it's more than 1, it could be sometimes happen that it is less than 5 or less than 10 and more than 5.
Yeah. And in that case, do we
Still say it's a reliable at 5% of significance level.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
But capital adequacy is reliable at all level of significance. This is 1 and 5 and 10%. We call it as level of significance. Let me just type it. Level of significance, or they are the levels. Okay, 3 different levels. In order to say that the capital adequacy is a reliable number, then this means that 1% is reliable at all levels of significance. Or if it's, let's say, more than 1% but less than 5, we can say that it is reliable at 5% significance. So what about liquidity?
Everything the same for the rest of the
They're not
line?
reliable, yes? The only one coefficient is reliable, which is capital adequacy. Yes? Is it clear why only one variable is statistically significant?
Yes.
So in order to give the recommendation for the banking industry, you cannot say that you have to increase the liquidity, you have to increase the NPL or reduce the cost to income management to improve the NIM, because these are the numbers are not statistically reliable. So the only thing that could increase the net interest margin is capital adequacy. So the bank should work only with the capital adequacy in order to improve the profitability. So well-capitalized banks brings you more profit. This is the explanation. So the more the banks have the money in hand, the more, what do you call it, will have. So how can you explain it? Like if the banks are more capitalized, the banks have got more capital in hand. So it means that the bank is more stable. So if the bank is more stable, it attracts more potential customers. If it attracts more potential customers, then it will bring more profit. So this could be an explanation for it. And it should be supported by some author. Okay, I'm done for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If not, I will stop here and I will see you on Monday. So
Thank
I
you,
will upload
Professor.
this lecture notes. I'll try to upload it immediately once it's converted into everything. Today I'm not going to take any attendance. See you then next week.
Yeah, Professor, I got the question. It's quite personal.
Goodbye.
Yeah, please stay in
Okay,
the room.
goodbye.
Bye, take care.
Actually, I can ask now. Yeah, professors. Unfortunately, I forgot to do the activity 9. And is there any chance for me that I can?
Wait, are you doing it alone, Alnur?
No, I'm with Dinara, but I didn't upload the file.
Wait, did the Dinara upload?
Yeah.
Okay, she's your group mate. That will be more than enough.
Oh, but I'm still like I didn't do anything. So, okay. I mean, I will. All right. Thank you, Professor.
Take care. Take care. Take care.
Bye.